Hello, everybody. Today I'll be talking about my research question and how architect shapes human interaction in modern cities, focusing on our study abroad trip in which we went to Spain and Portugal. My research question focuses on the historical building or pre-existing buildings and how they interact with the people around them and how modern or new buildings are able to mimic that same interaction to create a new sense of well-being inside the city as the city continues on growing. Architect is more than just constructing a building. It's about maintaining or keeping cultural value, and showcasing new technology, and creating or maintaining goals and desires of the surrounding society to make a positive impact around their community and even around the world. As city expands, architects tend to face the challenge of rethinking or maintaining traditional designs to create spaces that promote human interaction and to improve the quality of life. This presentation will focus on Barcelona, Porto, Lisbon, and Madrid, as Barcelona and Porto are one of the two biggest cities in their respective countries, and Lisbon and Madrid being the main capital of both countries. We will focus on how their buildings are able to facilitate movement and interaction among citizens and visitors alike. We will look in how modern buildings are able to coexist with historical structure and how both modern buildings and historical structures are able to approach and define public and private spaces. Starting with Barcelona, being known as a major tourist destination, Barcelona underwent significant development after hosting the Olympics. The city was designed by Cerda, who envisioned a grid layout that blends rural and urban living. Cerda introduced wide streets and 45-degree chamfers at intersection, anticipating the flow of goods and people. These chamfers not only facilitate comfortable pedestrian movement, but also provide spaces where people can gather without worrying about car traffic. This allows Barcelona to be a more pedestrian friendly area and a more walkable city. Creating walkable spaces allow people to move around the buildings and to have a more personal connections with the buildings around them. This allows business to create more public spaces outside and stores to create a more personal connection with the users, with the people around them, so they're able to walk around, get close to the areas they want to be, and just have a more enjoyable time being outside and walking the city besides staying in the car the whole time traveling. When walking around in Barcelona, we came across the main boulevard, Pasaje de Gracia, which is a very nice place and where modern and historical buildings are able to interact with each other. But to create this interaction, they maintain a rule in which they had private and public zonings between the buildings. The more private areas tend to be more open, tend to be more flexible, and able to allow people to walk in smoothly. And the public zones are just more lined out with balconies, trees, and facades. This allows people to walk in around the city more comfortably in a more human scale as the trees and balconies facade create a more personal space. In Porto, it's the same thing, where Porto has that same line with balconies, shading devices, and even little flags. They're able to create that line between private and public. However, it's more hilly, but even that does not stop that line to be very prominent when walking around Porto. This line continued on with the new buildings, specifically the Casa de Música. When the Casa de Música has these odd angles, but these angles still create this line between private and public, in which the public area is a lot more open, a lot more feels more enclosed with the angles sticking out to create like the shading devices where people are able to play soccer, able to walk around, able to ski, able to sit down. But then you go up a level just to go to the auditorium for the music. So it still maintains that line even though it's a new building around and still respects the buildings around it. In Lisbon, it's a lot bigger scale compared to Porto, in which it has higher rise buildings, more taller buildings, but it still maintains that line using trees, balcony, and shading device to create a more intimate space for people to walk around. The Augusta Street is one of their main boulevards in which citizens and tourists alike will walk around. This still is still true with that line in which they have shading devices, balconies to help protect the people under them and create a more intimate space even though the buildings are very grand, very beautiful, but it still creates this kind of intimate space between people so they can move around smoothly. Similar to the Casa de Musica, the Met Museum maintains that line. Even though the Met Museum is closer to the river and there's not that much residential area around it, it still maintains that line in which people are able to bike around, sit down, shade down, and sit in the shade and have an amazing view on the river. This still creates the line of intimacy where people are able to flow into the building and out without really feeling how massive this building is because you feel more personal, more enclosed around the space. Similar in Madrid as to Lisbon, it still maintains that tree, balcony, shading device relationship with the people even though there's like high-rise building, more taller buildings, this still allows a more comfortable and intimate space. An example of this is the Madrid Museum of the Cavex Forum, in which at the lower level it's an open space, and the upper level is the renovated museum and historical building, in which people are able to walk through smoothly in the public zone and have like this interaction with the building without really disturbing the way of traffic, but you still have a sense of this area in the bottom is the public zone and people are able to walk through, skate, move around smoothly. But the brick area is the private area. It may not have balconies, but still creates a leveled area and where people are able to walk through the bottom comfortably and have an interaction. Keeping this idea of just creating a more intimate public private area allows people to interact with the building, creating spaces, having shading, and just allowing people to live in a more human scale is what these lines between the building and human are able to create and help expand the cities around them. All of them are very walkable cities in which they feel comfortable walking around. Going on that idea, this will having the idea of how your building is able to interact can help better improve the quality of life. Thank you.